A very good morning to you all.
Good morning.
They say death is the number 2 fear that people have, and public speaking is the first. From sweaty palms to cracking voice, speaking publicly is terrifying for most of us. And Toastmasters program helps us to elevate this fear and also help us to build some of those skills in becoming an effective communicator. They do this through a very structured program called Pathways. Now, once you join Toastmasters, you will hear this term Pathways too often. What is Pathways? Pathways is nothing but an education program that Toastmasters offers. Unlike a generic program, Toastmasters offers you with 11 different programs which you can choose from based on your interest or need. So these are the 11 programs that we have. These are the 11 different paths. Each path has 5 levels. And each level has a few projects to complete within it. Every project culminates with you giving a speech in this segment of the meeting, that is the prepared speech segment. I'm going to run you through quickly, step by step, what you need to do right from the time you join Toastmasters to the time you give your first speech. Now, I want you to understand that you're not expected to by heart or learn this. This is just an introduction. Once you join the club, there will be a mentor assigned to you who will run you through each of these steps. And we might have a longer session, an education session, which will help you go through each of these steps. Understand these are practical steps that you will take, and as you start doing it, you will get more and more comfortable. So as of now, please don't make any notes, but just look at this screen so the next time you log in, they become familiar to you. I've just made this flow chart of what you need to do before you give your speech. So once you join Toastmasters, what you're going to do is prepare for your speech and contact your VP Education. You will contact your VP Education to schedule an icebreaker for you. So what are the things you need to do before you start off with the icebreaker? Before you start with your icebreaker, you will log into the Toastmasters International website and choose a path for yourself amongst those 11 different paths that we just mentioned. Once you choose a path for yourself, you will go to Basecamp and access that path and open up the transcript. Toastmasters uses a learning management system where you can access the transcript of your education program. Once you access the transcript, as I already mentioned, each path has 5 different levels, and you will progress from level 1 to level 5, and each level has a few projects to complete. So you will access your project and launch the project and start learning that project. Today, I'm going to run you through these simple steps. After you finish your icebreaker, you will receive an evaluation. What you do after you receive an evaluation, there are a few steps, and Aditya will cover up those steps for you. Now, how do you log on to Toastmasters? www.toastmasters.org. This is the website you need to log on to. This is a screen you would see once you log in. And if you could see this login option, click on the login. And once you click onto the login, you would get this pop-up screen. Each member has a unique member ID or email address that you will put in here and log in. Now you see that you have logged in as a member. If you can notice here, my name reflects here. From the main menu, you would choose the tab of Pathways. There are a few options you see when you open up this tab. Learn More will give you more information about Pathways. This option is open to you even before you log in as a member. This briefly describes what Pathways is. There are a few videos that you can look at. The start page is nothing but these 1, 2, and 3 options put on a single screen. There are a few frequently asked question options. You could look through that. So here, these are the 3 options that you have. Number 1 is to choose a path. You will choose a path once you start with the program. You don't have to do it again and again. Once you start, after you complete a path, you could choose another path. Well, you can have more than one paths running at the same time too. Basecamp is the place where you will access your transcript of your education program. Navigator is another program where you can click onto Navigator and look at everything that Toastmasters have to offer. It will guide you through how to use this entire portal. It will also guide you through the meeting roles. I'm sure there are a few meeting roles that were described today. If you want to go through them once again, Navigator is a place you will get. There will be a hard copy given to every club. Once you charter a club, there are a set of Navigator hard copies that you also receive. You could go through that as well. Pathways updates gives you updates if there are any, and accessible materials. Now this is one section which has programs which can help people with visual impairment. So choosing a path. Once you click on choose a path, you are given an option whether you want a printed material or a digital. Well, the option is always digital because digital offers you much more than what printed material. Whereas if you use the printed options, there will be printed manual, and of course it costs a little more when you opt for a printed manual. Once you've chosen the mode, now your next option is to choose the path. Amongst these 11 paths, you could look at view all paths options, which briefly describes each path. You could go through that. I know it's confusing which path to choose. So Toastmasters have offered you a short questionnaire which you can take online. This assessment has a series of questions, and based on your responses, Toastmasters will suggest you 3 paths. You could choose one of those paths. However, it's not compulsory that you choose amongst those 3 paths. You can choose to choose a path which is not mentioned in those 3 options that they give. So finally, it's your choice which path you want to take. Here are this brief snapshot of all those 11 paths. All these paths help you to develop these 5 core competencies. One is public speaking, interpersonal communication, strategic leadership, management, and confidence. Each path has a varying degree of these 5 core competencies. If you see, engaging humor works only on public speaking and confidence, whereas a dynamic leadership has the element of public speaking, interpersonal communication, strategic leadership, and confidence. Well, if you see, confidence is one thing that's there in all the paths, as well as public speaking, which highlights the point that you are going to give a speech. Every project that you do will culminate in you giving a speech at the prepared speech segment program at the meeting. So you will develop public speaking skills and confidence as you do that. Whereas the other 3 are different for each path. Now, once you have chosen a path, it's time for you to go and access that path and look at that transcript and educational material that is offered. So here you will go to base camp. You've chosen a path, now you will go to base camp. Each time you access your path, you can straight away go to base camp. You need not go to choose a path again. Here's a screen. This is my screen. So you see presentation mastery is the path I have chosen. Now you will also see a few more things here. Pathways guide task. Now since I was a pathways guide, this was a curriculum given to me. So that's why this reflects here. Otherwise, when you open, you will have the path that you have chosen. Once you see the path, here you see open curriculum option. You go and click on the open curriculum option. Now this opens up your curriculum. If you notice, there are 5 levels to your path. And this is the place where it shows you progress of your path. Level 1, after you complete level 1, it is mandatory that you complete a path, only then can you move to the next level. So once you complete one level, the other level opens up for you. So level 1, and these are the projects that I have in level 1. So let's say the first project that you will do when you join Toastmasters is the icebreaker. You will go and launch the program here. It will take you step by step to everything that you need to do to write your speech breaker as icebreaker and come in the prepared speech segment. You come and deliver that 4 to 6 minute speech. There are tabs here that you will move through one by one. I also want to tell you that in case you want to go through the program again, you need not go through the sequential manner. There is a small drop down menu here. If you click on this, it opens up. So you can go to navigation, introduction. So it goes in a sequence of introduction, your assignment, and so you can just go directly to a place that you want to revisit. If you see this part where it says assess your skills before. So once you start with the icebreaker project, you will assess your skills before and after the project. When we all join Toastmasters, each of us are at a different level. Some of us have never given a speech before, whereas the others have done presentations at workplace. So each of us are at a different, on the spectrum, each one of us are at a different point. And this is a place for you to self-evaluate yourself, assess your skills before and after the project. Of course, you will also receive an evaluation after your speech, which will help you with constructive feedback. Now, instead of this is what you will go through, I'm going to now quickly run you through this project checklist. So finally, what you do in the project checklist is number 1, you will schedule your speech with your Vice President Education, write your speech and rehearse your speech. Your mentor is one person who will be there with you while you rehearse your speech. You can, after you write your speech, you could share it with your mentor and he can give you his comments, his or her comments. Now, what goes in writing a speech? If you look at the purpose of an icebreaker, the purpose of this project is to introduce yourself to the club and learn the basic structure of a public speech. Every project in Toastmasters has an objective. And the objective of this particular project, that's an icebreaker, is to learn the basic structure of a public speech and introduce yourself to the club. Now, it also, as I mentioned, provides a baseline for your current strength. You'll be aware of your current strengths that you have as a speaker. So, what goes in actually writing the speech? They say organize your speech. Your speech consists of 4 important sections. Number 1 is an interesting topic, a strong opening, a body, and conclusion. Now, what do I mean when I say this? You're going to talk about yourself. You introduce yourself. When you start your speech, you're going to capture the audience by a strong opening. And in the body, you will talk something about yourself and then close the speech. It could be at times really overwhelming because there are so many things you want to talk about yourself. Now, here's a little worksheet that will help you to streamline that. So write a few main points about yourself here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So here's a worksheet which helps you pick on a few points. So you will write this worksheet. Write down everything that you want to talk about and let your fellow Toastmasters know about you. So you write the main points here. Maybe it could be about your family, your early life, your education, your career, some incident in your life. It could be anything. Just make a list, write as much as you can here. Next, you would also write reasons for joining Toastmasters and a few goals that you have. Now is the time to structure your speech. Pick up a few points from this and have a strong opening body. Now, what goes in the opening? Of course, there is greetings. Capture the audience interest. Begin with something about yourself that will capture the interest and attention of the audience. One very important thing is the transition. When you transit from the opening to the body, it's very important there is a strong link and it's not abrupt. Even in the body, when you move from one point to the other, a transition is very, very important. And in the end, you will again conclude with a strong, impactful way. Restate the main points possibly and close with an impact. Now, what I have done here is looked at the different ways you could. I know it's very overwhelming when you have too many things with you. Maybe use a chronological manner where you start with your early childhood, then you talk about your career options, then you talk about your current, what got you to Toastmasters. So you could move in a chronological manner, or even go by topics, maybe family, education, your workplace. You could use a topical manner. So pick up four topics, or pick up 3 topics. Limit yourself to only 3 main points in the body. Or maybe a common thread, maybe a common theme that runs through your speech. Maybe a philosophy or a signature phrase that guides you. Or maybe you could just speak about one key event in your life. You could also use combinations of this. Maybe you could use chronological or at the same time a key event also. Now here's a speech that I have written. It's an icebreaker speech. I'm going to share this with you. The parts that are highlighted in red are the opening and the ending. The parts in blue are the body, and the parts in black are the transition statements that I have used. Siona, could you just briefly tell me how much more time do I have? Clyde, anyone could just please tell me how much time do I have?
Hi, Meenakshi.
2 minutes more.
2 minutes more, thank you. Okay, so here I chose a topic which was almost a phrase. What is this life full of care? There is no time to stand and stare. I started with saying this and stare, and I fumbled at that point. And then I greeted saying, Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I stood there staring at the audience with a big, broad smile, hiding my nervousness until my teacher held me by my arm and dragged me backstage. I must say that I have had the experience of brain freeze that day. That was my first icebreaker at the age of 10. My teacher said, you looked very confident. Next time, try and learn your poem well. And hey, you have a beautiful smile. Keep smiling. Now that was the first evaluation I received. And ever since then, I made sure I always wore a smile. With this smile on, now this is the transition statement that I'm using to move to the second point. Here I'm going to talk about my college life and how I met my husband. So I'm not going to read through all of that, but just highlighting this. So I always wore a smile. With this smile on, my first visit to the college canteen, sitting with my friend Smita and so on. Now, here I talk about how I met my husband, and I also talk about Bollywood, something of my interest. Now, when I'm moving to the third point, I use this part in transiting. As I said, I'm a die-hard fan of Bollywood. When I'm watching a film, I literally journey with every character in it. And this takes me to the next point where I'm talking about my work and how I view each and every person I meet as my client, as their life as a movie, and they are heroes in their lives, and talk a little about my work. And this is how I went to the third point. And then in the end, I'm wrapping up the whole speech. In the third point, I've spoken about my career. The next, I've spoken about my interest in driving. And I end it by saying, nowadays, I need a new script. Me in my car, all clean and shiny, inside out. Me reaching for work on time, finding time to watch movies, and Vinay staring at me once again. And I wonder, what is this life full of care? There is no time to stand and stare. So here we have looked at how let's look at this flowchart again. You will log into the Toastmasters. You will log into Toastmasters, take an assessment, choose a path, navigate through Basecamp, get to your transcript, and finally do every single project in your path. Yes, with that, they say there are only two types of speakers in the world, the nervous and liars. Yes, in spite of all this preparation, there would be times where you still feel nervous, and when you come up here and give a speech. At this time, I want you to remind yourself of the club mission, in which every member is here to support you and guide you and be there and provide you with that positive learning experience. Thank you. Over to you, Sienna.